and just blow it up in here. But this one's gonna be different because we want more. This beautiful cement pot, but I definitely want to give it. What happens when you combine a trash can, a balloon, and some cement together? Hopefully a really cool pot. Well, that's today's challenge. Let's get started. I also have a special announcement later in the video. Now, previously I created these large cement pots, which by the way, I love how they turned out. Many of you did if you watched that video, and today I'm going to be kind of using that technique to see if I can make something a little bit different. These are going to be more like large vessels that could be potentially planters or just decorative pieces. We'll see how they turn out. As I was preparing for this, I went on Pinterest to gather some inspiration and kind of just look at other pots and vintage vessels and all of those things that I think are beautiful. Now, what's great about these is, of course, yes, they are unique and they have developed beautiful aged patina over time. However, large vintage pots like that can be a little pricey, and I also like creating, so I'm just gonna take my stab at it and see if I can kind of come up with something similar or just kind of be influenced depending on how things turn out. Maybe this might be a disaster, we'll see. So the first thing I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna blow up this balloon, which is going to go here, and that's going to sort of create the dome effect. And we'll find a way to kind of seamlessly blend it together. But first, let's blow up this balloon. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna use this thing. Okay, this is one of those like large balloons that comes with like a rubber band. I think it's like one of those like bouncy ball things. Doesn't matter, we're gonna disregard that and just blow it up in here. And we do the same for this one. You're supposed to stretch balloons before you inflate that. If you're a pro, let me know. Okay, right now that looks like ice cream, but I do need to make the opening for the pots. So I went to Dollar Tree and I found this like wreath. It's actually a pack of 2 like metal wreaths that I will be putting up there. However, they're a little bit too big. I couldn't find anything smaller, so I'm going to take my wire cutters and like cut the 2 outer rings and just use the small inner one. This old wire cutter was perfect for cutting that. However, I will say there was still a little sharpness to this, so I ended up sanding it outside, which I did not show here, but basically I just want perfect rings. I sanded down the cut. It's still sharp, so this duct tape is really going to help make sure there aren't any sharp moments, because that'll pop the balloon and we don't want that, right? So that's ready to go. I'm also going to put a little bit of tape here on the balloon where the balloon meets the trash can. I'm just going to call it the can now, so it doesn't move around. There we go. So next up I'm going to go in with this. So this is the cement board joint tape, which I will cover the entire thing, and that's going to sort of serve as the base for the first coat of cement. You know, at first I started putting the sticky side of the tape inward so that it would stick to the balloon and the basket, but it was kind of hard to adjust afterwards, so then I decided to start putting the sticky part outwards, and it's easy to adjust that way. One down, one more to go. You know, everything was going well up until this point, but this happened. Balloon popped. I pushed it too hard. Oh my gosh. Dang it. Well, I have one more balloon, so I can... Okay, I saved it. I blew up another balloon, and maybe I blew it up a little bit too much, but it's fine. Hopefully this one doesn't pop. There we go, so much better. You know, it's always funny how the second one's always better than the first.
So these are now ready to go. It took a little drama, but here we are. Now I'm gonna apply the first coat of the cement slurry.
You know, now it's time to apply our first cement layer, which this one's very important because we're going to be creating a slurry. To be honest with you, I kind of just threw everything together. I didn't really measure per se, but if I were to guess, these are the measurements. Of course, I will be using an all-purpose cement. In this case, I'm using by this brand, but Cementol will also work. Then for our bonding agent, this is almost going to serve as a glue for this cement. Mixing that with some water, and I would say 1 part bonding agent to 2 parts water. Adding that to the cement mix to create sort of like a thick paint consistency, and just using an old brush, brushing it onto the entire vase. Now I do apologize, I lost daylight here, but basically we're just gonna let these sit for about 24 hours before moving on to the next layer. So it's the next day and the cement has mostly dried, or cured technically. Now remember the one that popped? This one's actually turning out to be a little bit better than the other one. I think I underestimated how much the balloon would deflate over time. I don't know, maybe it's the temperature or just balloons deflate over time. And the one that popped, I overinflated it, but it's keeping up the shape much better than this other one. It's still gonna work out, but it's kind of getting a little loose where the balloon meets the can, but that's okay. Now I'm gonna take these outside. By the way, this is an outdoor project. Like, this is not an indoor project. I'm gonna take them outside and add the first, or I guess technically the second coat of cement. But this one's gonna be different because we want more of like a clay-like consistency. Again, I'm kind of just throwing everything together and mixing it up, not really measuring, but this would be my guess. So for this second coat, it's going to be more of a paste mix, and I'm actually going to add sand to the mix. So here I'm probably doing 1:1 ratio of sand and the cement. And for the liquids, I'm using 1 part bonding adhesive to 2 parts water, and then kind of just adding it in there. Again, it doesn't really matter that much, but when mixing it all together, I kind of want like a thick mortar consistency, something that I could spread on with a trowel or even my hands. And of course, I am wearing some rubber gloves for my safety. We don't want to expose our skin to uncured cement. Initially, I started using a putty knife to spread the mix, but soon I realized I could just use my hands to wipe it on, and it worked out a lot better. I will say spraying it with some water beforehand, the old layer, helps it go on smoother. Once that mix is on, then spraying it with some water and kind of rubbing it either with my hands or the knife helps smooth it out and kind of fill in any of those crevices. Soon enough, I made a second batch for the other vase. Now, there's something to be said about the temperature of the space, because when I made these large cement orbs last year, it was kind of a hot day, and we don't want this cement to start drying quickly because it'll start to crack. We want this to be not in direct sunlight, so that's something to keep in mind.
This is what it looks like for now. This is again the first coat. It's looking a little even. This one with the deflated balloon is a little lopsided, but hopefully the next coat will fix that.
Did I mention this is an outdoor project, not an indoor? After about 24 hours, that second layer is finally dried, or cured technically, but I'm just going to do some light sanding before moving on to the next. So it is the next day. Basically at this point, the balloons aren't really doing anything for me anymore. They serve their purpose, so I'm going to pop them, which I hate popping balloons, but... These are actually turning out much better than I thought they were. So here is the first, technically second coat of cement. It's looking pretty snazzy. I'm gonna add one more coat, but before I do, I'm gonna add a neck to it because right now it's kind of just like a hole. So I went through my craft stash and I still have some rope. So I'm gonna be using this rope that I actually got from, I believe, Dollar Tree. For both vases, I was gonna make them identical, but I'm gonna take each one in a different direction now. And this one I'm going to go for, I think, like a ribbed effect or something like that. We'll see, but I definitely want to give it a neck because it feels necklace. Necklace? Necklace. For the first vase, I'll use this thick jute cord, and for gluing it, I'm going to use a combination of hot glue to hold it in place while that Gorilla Glue cures in the long run. This is going to make this a bit messy, but that's okay. It's going to get covered with cement. And if you were wondering how many times I burnt my finger with the hot glue, I would say about 3 or 4 times. I should probably get one of those little like fingertip things, like the silicones. I don't know if that's what they're for, but maybe that will help. Anyways, now I am going with this thinner rope and kind of creating a more organic freeform situationship here. And for more detail, I'm going in with some silicone glue and just creating some dots around the circumference of this neck situation. Hopefully it'll blend the fact that it's not so uniform. Oh my, it's looking like crap, but let's trust the process. Now for our second vase, similar thing, but in this case, I want a ribbed effect sort of design. So taking that shorter or thinner cord and basically creating sort of just lines down the entire thing. Like this. Okay, I think I'm vibing with this one a little bit more, so let's go ahead and take these outside and apply our third and I think final coat of cement. Could probably do fourth, but 3 is fine for now. So again, the same sort of recipe as that second coat with the cement, sand, bonding adhesive, and the water, mixing it up, applying it on there. Now, notice that I am, of course, covering all of that rope because, well, I don't want to see it, but if some of that peeks through, that's okay. It's going to get painted. I could have probably done a third coat, but I don't want to lose any of those details, so I'll just do a thin layer for now. Now notice I am losing some daylight. What a hot mess. What a hot mess. I really appreciate you for being here. I lost daylight. I apologize about the video quality, but the project is pretty good. I'm happy with how it's turning out. I'm feeling positive about the outcome, I hope. We'll see. Oh my, now would be a great time to hit that like button. So I'm gonna set these aside for 24 hours and here's some other cool pots that I made. Oh my, having a crazy hair day. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm kind of obsessed with cement. No, seriously, I am obsessed with cement. I just love working with the material and crafting things and kind of coming up with ideas. This beautiful cement pot, I actually made a whole bunch of these and it's the latest piece, part of my Cemento collection on CasaRefineShop.com. These beautiful little pots were made with love. Look at that texture, isn't that neat? Speaking of texture, since these are handmade, each one is slightly gonna vary in texture and in color. So it's kind of like a juxtaposition that's like old world but modern at the same time, which is kind of cool. So of course you can find them on my store, CasaRefineShop.com. And you know what? I actually wasn't planning on doing a discount, but for my YouTube family here, we're gonna do 10% off. Yes, 10% off your order for these. And I'll put the discount code down in the description box. But thank you so much for the support. I hope that you love these. These were made with love. For mi casa, do your casa. So thank you so much. Speaking of making pots, where were we? Oh, I love them. It's the next day and the pots are basically dry. However, I just need to do some light sanding before I do some painting.
The bottom, I also added some cement that I rubbed with my hand at the end of yesterday. It was pretty dark, but yeah, so the bottom is also covered with cement. You can still see some of the rope peeking through, but that's okay. It's gonna get painted anyways. I had to remove some cement before it dried last night between the grooves, otherwise it was just going to fill it in, and I want to be able to see.
Ooh, let's get to the fun stuff. The painting, the bringing it to life moment, the hopefully making it all worth it moment. So we're gonna do some painting. I'm just gonna use some plain old acrylic paint, craft paints that I have at home. Now there are some specialty paints out there that can create a beautiful sort of aged patina, which I want to start experimenting soon. But for now, just trying to keep it budget friendly. Here's a quick reminder of some of the pots that I was inspired by. Embracing imperfection. Embracing imperfection. That's what we want here. So for this first coat, I'm going for sort of like a dark brown mocha amber color, I think, and really watering it down so that the cement kind of can sort of absorb it. Of course, it wouldn't be a Jorge DIY project without the appearance of our special friend. You know, I'm feeling very talkative today, sorry, but while you listen to that ASMR moment, I'm probably listening to music or a podcast or something, because you notice I always have my earbuds on. That's because these projects end up taking longer than not longer than expected, but they just take a long time. But when I edit these videos, sometimes they might seem very quick and swift and easy, but they require some patience and love, of course. So it is the next day and the pot is basically dried now. Now this is a pretty good stopping point. I mean, it looks good. However, I'm gonna take it up a notch, and to add to the realness of the aged effect, I'm going to rub some dirt on it, or actually some mud. At first I started rubbing the dry dirt, but I quickly remembered that I prefer adding a little water in there and brushing it on. I think it gives a better effect. After a lot of patience, here is the final result of the first pot. Look at that. Wow, it actually looks way better than I actually thought it was going to turn out. I love that age effect. It looks realistic, it's big, and there's so much opportunity for this. It could even be a planter, but the neck is kind of small. I don't know, but I love it. Now for this vessel, I was kind of going back and forth between the color, maybe between a beige or a terracotta, but I'm gonna go for something a little bit more moody. So I'm thinking like an olive color, something like, yeah, like an olive color perhaps. And let's wrap it up with this vase. Of course, I'm using some crafting paints here, using some greens, adding in some beige, giving it a more warm undertone, I would say. Painting on there. Here's a quick reference on some of the vases that I was kind of inspired for this one. And yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's giving a little bit of Grinch vibes though. I don't know. Is this what I wanted? I don't know. If not one thing I've learned over the years is if I don't like a color, paint it. So that's what I'm doing. Not trying to cover everything per se, but sort of layering, allowing that previous color to show through, really watering it down so that the paint can sort of run down and just create all sorts of wonderful texture, very delicious. It's kind of like frosting a cake, maybe not. For a more realistic aged effect, of course, using my soil and water technique. And then once that dried, of course, some clear coat. But this is the final result for this little vase. Not a little, it's actually quite large. And I don't know, it's different. It's kind of fun. What are your thoughts? Oh my goodness, that was actually a lot of work, but you know what? I love how these pots turned out. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. I'm kind of leaning towards that moody dark one, but I think they're both great, honestly. Each one has its own character, and you know what? You would never know that they were trash cans. So let me know if you think I should make some more pots. Speaking of which, let's not forget these cuties right here. So of course, these pots right here, available on my store, casarefineshop.com. Be sure to check out the link and code in the description box so you can take advantage and get one of these for yourself. Be a great gift too. Again, made with love from mi casa to your casa. And I just want to thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one over here. Bye. I love the color and the texture. Maybe I should make more colors. I hate popping balloons, but